Let's get some more practice grabbing things off of the page. So we used document.querySelector, right? What if we want to get that text box? We could use document.querySelector with the string input. So the simplest possible selector is simply the name of an element as a string. But let's add a little mess of other things to our page. I'm going to add a couple more paragraphs. You can do this or not. It's not something I'm going to keep. It's just something I'm going to use for an example. Let's create another paragraph. This is some text. Let's make another paragraph. This is some more. Let's make another paragraph. This time with class equals special. So the class attribute is really used to target things with CSS, or now that we have querySelector to target it with JavaScript. There's class and ID, the difference being that there should be only one element on a page with any given ID. Class, the same class can be shared by lots of elements. I'm going to make another paragraph. Oh, but let's put something in there. So special, y'all. Considerably less special. And one more. Class special. But this one's special. By golly. All right. So many paragraphs. What if I just say document.querySelector P? Who knows what that'll return? That just returns the first one it finds that matches that rule. However, there is querySelector all that finds all of the matches and puts it in an array-like thing. Not technically an array, but an array-like thing. I didn't refresh the page before I did this, so there's still only the one. Yeah, so now, hey, there's a bunch. Ooh, p.special it says. Interesting. If we expand this out and we see what these are, there's the actual element in there somewhere. So what if we wanted only the ones with a class of special? We could do querySelector all. Instead of just P, we could say p.special. So dot is a selector for identifying things by class. P.special, combining the two, will look specifically for paragraphs with a class of special. We could have just said .special. That is a full selector by itself. Would have returned us the same thing. However, if I gave this div a class of special, that would be included if I said querySelector all.special. That will match any element with a class of special. These two paragraphs and this div. If I wanted only the paragraphs, I would say p.special. What if we give our form an ID of person form? Anybody know how we would target that? By its ID, suppose there's more than one form on the page? Yeah. Yeah, pound sign or hash. So let's say, and I just want one, let's say. So let's say document.querySelector, not all, because it's an ID. Hash person form. How about refreshing the page before I do it? Make sure it actually exists. Hey, there it is. There was only one form, but now there's also document.getElementById that's been around a lot longer than query selector. You can use that as well. If you use that, you don't put the hash symbol. You just say person form. Neat. Questions so far? Guess what? We can also use that same CSS selector syntax with emit for our shortcuts. So watch this. Oh yeah, this is good stuff. Let's say div hash my div dot so special. Oh, cuss. My ID and my class are there. Saves a lot of typing. You can read all about it on the tools section of the website. That's just built in to Visual Studio Code. Yeah. So if I just wanted to create a div, I just do that with my keyboard shortcut. If I wanted a div with a class of special, div dot special, we'll do it. If you want an ID, use hash, and you can combine them on the same element. If you have more than one class, just put more than one dot. Div dot special dot foo. Yep. Notice in the HTML you separate classes with a space inside the attribute. And it'll do lots of other cool stuff. We'll see it more as time goes on. I'm going to get rid of these paragraphs because they're not really doing anything. Let's try to get one more thing done. We are running out of time. We spent quite a bit more time on introductions in session 1, so don't feel bad. You have an extra day that session 1 didn't have. But let's see if we can make this form do a little tiny something. Let's add a submit button. So I'm going to add another paragraph inside the form. And inside there, I'm going to put a button element. Going to give it an attribute type equals submit. And between the opening and closing tags, I will put the contents go. Yeah.
Would you usually use nested button inside a paragraph?
So prior to HTML5, the spec for HTML actually said that form elements have to be inside another block level element. I preferred to use field set or div, but actually most of the examples from the W3C, which is the standards body, actually use paragraphs. So yeah, I tend to wrap form elements in paragraphs. All right, refresh the page. Yay. My H1 went away. I accidentally got rid of it. I didn't mean to. Now here's where we're going to try to do just a little bit of magic. If I tappity and then hit enter or click the submit button, the page will just refresh. And if you look at the URL, it added on question mark person name equals whatever I put in there. But we don't really have any place to submit this form. We just want to do something in JavaScript when that happens. So adding interesting behavior to an HTML document generally involves events. Something happens that we're interested in that triggers some behavior. Events. So to catch it when one of these occurs, we add an event listener. So let's add our first event listener.